Hey guys, welcome back to the show. This is the
Night Parade Podcast.
The show where we shine light on the dark.
Yes, sir.
Each episode, we present you a case on all things true crime and paranormal. As always, we'll be your hosts. My name is Glenn.
And my name is Jan.
And we work together here with the team at Night Parade Studio to bring you the show.
That's right.
That's right. So today is the first recording session of the new year. That's right. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for being with us this whole time.
It's
really an honor serving you guys.
That's right.
That's right. Welcome to 2023.
Yes, sir. And we're starting off the new year with a case of kidnapping. This one is for those of you that uses Uber or Lyft on a daily commute or have to take public transportation on a daily commute. Please be very careful when you guys are using these transportations. Make sure you don't get in the wrong car or the wrong Uber.
Oh, yeah.
Because this happened with this case. And this is another solved mystery. Here's the case of Samantha Josephson. Let's get started.
Let's do it. Samantha Josephson. She was born in 1998 in Princeton, New Jersey. And she lived with her family, Marcy and Seymour, and her sister Sydney. So together, they grew up in Robinson, New Jersey. Growing up, they were said to be a very loving and happy family. In 2015, Samantha, she decides to attend the University of South Carolina. She majored in political science. At college, she really developed as a person. In 2017, she meets her boyfriend Greg in 5 Points, which is a popular spot for students in the university. And she studied abroad in Barcelona as well. Actually there, she joined the Alpha Gamma Delta sorority. Her friends and family, they actually described her as a very likable person with a personality that could light up a room. She had high aspirations and planned to graduate in May 2019. She planned on attending Drexel University to study international law. Then in March 2019, Samantha was getting ready to graduate in a couple of months. So she was spending more time with her other seniors, her friends, her classmates. And Greg, he had already graduated the year prior, so he was already back home. Then, March 28th, something happens. Samantha received bad news from home. She asked Greg to visit and comfort her, but he was unable to because he was busy and he was planning on visiting in a couple of days anyway. So Greg, he tells Samantha to go out with some friends, to get her mind off things. They could still text and he could track her using Find My Friends app, and they were doing that anyway. Samantha agreed to go out with her friends and, she thought it was a good idea. At around 12:30 a.m., they all arrived at the Bird Dog, which is located in 5 Points. It was said to be the group's favorite spot to visit at night. So that night, her friends all said that she wasn't really happy. She was staying really secluded, away from everybody, and she just stayed on her phone, really. She was texting Greg and other friends. At some point, Samantha gets separated from her friends. Now she was alone, and she was still upset, so as anybody would, she decided to call it a night. So she called an Uber ride home, and she messaged Greg that she was on her way. So up on the screen is some surveillance footage from the club. You can see that she was on her phone and it was around 2:06 a.m. She was still talking to Greg and she was waiting for her ride. So at this point it's 2:12 a.m. and there's a black Chevy Impala. It can be seen pulling up to her, and Samantha, she can be seen rushing into the car. So after a few seconds, she shut the door and they drove off. So at this point, they were heading southeast on Hardin Street. And right away, Greg realized something was wrong. He was tracking Samantha using the Find My Friends app, and he noticed that she was heading in the total opposite direction from her home. He tried calling and texting and Snapchatting her even, but nothing was ever received after she got into the car. So using the app, he could see her location travel further and further away. So she continued traveling southeast, past the Shandon area. Then, almost minutes after getting into the car, her location disappears. So Greg, he calls her housemates, but none of them have heard from her. And he thought that she might have gotten off somewhere maybe and then left her phone by accident on the Uber ride. So he went to sleep thinking that he would hear from her in the morning. But when the morning came, Samantha never called and she never showed up at her apartment. She was working that morning, so Greg called her place of work to see if she showed up, but she never did. So Greg and Samantha's friends, they were getting very alarmed by all this, as anybody would, you know? So they filed a missing persons report, and they formed their own search party and called local hospitals and jails to see if she was there, but there were no matches found. Then they searched the Five Points area. Still nothing. Then they focused on the Bird Dog Club itself. This was the club she was at last, right? Luckily, they had some friends who worked at the bar. They allowed Greg and his friends to go back and look at the security footage from that night. That's when they found the footage showing Samantha getting into the Black Impala. So they took this footage back to the local police station and gave their statements about Samantha's disappearance. After giving their statements, they were all taken to another room, and in that room was another police officer talking to Samantha's parents. Apparently, Samantha's body had already been found. It was just a couple hours earlier and 65 miles southeast from where she disappeared in New Zion. Her body had countless puncture wounds all over it, and she had savagely been beaten and assaulted. Greg and Samantha's family and friends were all devastated by the news.
At this point, Greg realized that he had virtually witnessed his girlfriend's kidnapping and murder, which to me is heartbreaking.
Yeah,
That is really heartbreaking.
it's horrible.
You'll definitely blame yourself for that.
Mm-hmm.
Now they knew what happened to her, and the search was on for her murder. And the police had a good start. Thanks to Greg and her friends, they had CCTV footage of her getting into the Impala from the club, right?
Yeah.
They also had her last known whereabouts. They had a time, location, direction, and a vehicle. This is not just a blind search. They know what they were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
One of her friends went into her laptop and checked her emails. Apparently, her original Uber driver had actually canceled the ride, which is interesting because she's still, if the Uber driver cancels a ride, it would notify you on your phone.
So she probably didn't notice, maybe because she was talking with Greg on the phone.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. So the car that she stepped into was just some random stranger's car. They probably knew that she was drunk from the way that maybe she was acting outside of the club.
Yeah.
And from that point on, the so-called Uber driver took advantage of the situation. Now, after analyzing the surveillance footage, police found that the same Chevy Impala circling around the bird dog about several times around the club. He'd been kind of like casing the area.
Mm-hmm.
Before stopping to pick up Samantha, it seemed to make a U-turn after just spotting Samantha on her own. So all the cops in the area were told to be on the lookout for a black Chevy Impala. It wasn't long before they found their guy, the actual guy who picked up Samantha from the club. That night, Officer Jerry Kraft spotted a look-alike vehicle driving in front of him. They were only a quarter mile south of Bird Dog, so this vehicle was of great interest because it was really close to the scene of
matches the vehicle, everything.
So the police officer followed it for a while and eventually flashed his lights. So the Impala turned into a residential road and pulled over for the police. So as you can see on the body cam footage up on the screen, the guy was pulled over after being told that his car was a lookalike and he was a suspect. He just ran away from the police, but eventually the police caught him. His name is Nathaniel Rowland, born in 1995, so 24 back in 2019. He grew up in New Zion, had a loving family, graduated high school in 2012. He had several traffic violations already before the stop, but mostly for not wearing a seatbelt, which is stupid because you need seatbelts.
But it's got nothing to do with like what he was caught for.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Also, with open alcohol in public in 2018. On October 19, 2018, he was allegedly one of the two men who abducted a woman by carjacking. It was at a traffic light. They assaulted her, they forced her to drive to an ATM, and they took all her money. They forced her to drive to her house, and they took several items, including a PS4, which is expensive, man. It's back in 2000, that was the most popular console back then, in 2019. Nathaniel sold some of those stolen items at the pawn shop. Police were able to connect those items from the woman to the pawn shop and then to Nathaniel. He was arrested for obtaining goods under false pretenses valued at $2,000 or less. He wasn't charged through alleged carjacking or kidnapping, so the police found a large amount of blood in the trunk and passenger seat of his car, the Chevy Impala, which is bad news.
Looks bad, yep.
They also found Samantha's phone in the glove box, which, I mean, this is just adding on to the whole thing.
Yeah.
This officially linked Nathaniel and Samantha for the first time. This proved it, that Nathaniel or Samantha was once in his car. They found bleach, wipes, and window cleaner in the car as well, showing an attempt to clean the whole car. Now, after searching his house, they found cleaning supplies and a two-bladed knife. Both had Samantha's blood on them. Her blood was also found on a bandana, a sock, and under Nathaniel's fingernails. Oh my god, dude.
Alright,
You still have blood under your fingernails, man.
there's no way he can get out of there now.
There's no way. I mean, if it's in your fingernails. So he was charged with kidnapping, murder, and possession of a weapon during commission of a crime. His trial began July 20th, 2021, and 31 witnesses came forward, including Nathaniel's ex, the hunter who found Samantha's body. There were numerous investigators as well, and other experts who came forward. It also showed Nathaniel's two cars behind another vehicle, which Samantha had already mistook for her Uber. So she had already done it once, and she did it again with, unfortunately, Nathaniel's car. So this shows you how drunk she was.
Or careless, maybe?
I mean, even if you were careless, you would see the Uber logo and whatnot, and also you would pay attention a lot more to your phone. Especially me, if I'm using my phone to call an Uber, if it was canceled, I would know that like right away because I'm looking at my phone. She didn't know what kind of car she was looking for. Maybe it was dark. She didn't even know.
Yeah.
You know what types of cars there are.
Yeah, she was getting into any car that stopped by her.
Right,
pretty much.
which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was very out of it, I would say. I don't know if she was really drunk or just, like you said.
Maybe she was upset and just wasn't caring at the time.
Yeah. Anger got the best of her, kind of, yeah.
Mm.
Now, we know that he used child locks to trap her inside. She was also in a busy area with loud music and lots of people, so nobody would be able to hear her screams. It likely that she died inside the car, the Chevy Impala, and then transferred to a location to dump the body. Dr. Thomas, a forensic pathologist, identified the weapon, and he said over 120 wounds were found on her body, including her face, her neck, torso, back, lungs, legs, and feet.
Wow.
The whole body.
Oh my
The whole
gosh.
body. This is insane. He was also captured on a surveillance cameras at 2 different ATMs in the area. He was trying to use her card several times, but was unsuccessful. On July 27th, 2021, Nathaniel Rowland was found guilty of kidnapping and murdering Samantha Josephson.
That's right.
And it only took a little over an hour for the jury to deliberate that he was guilty. Man, that's pretty crazy, dude.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Wow. What do you think? What do you think of Nathaniel? This guy Rowland.
Shoot. Screw that guy, Roland. He ended Samantha Josephson's life so abruptly.
Yeah.
She had so much going for her.
So much.
She had a great life like ahead of her.
Yeah. People loved her.
Mm-hmm. She was gonna do good things. Like she was in law, but this guy, Nathaniel Rowland, is a truly evil person.
Yeah. It's scary to think that people like that are out there. I mean, if my girlfriend was in that situation, I don't know. I don't know what to think. Like, it's scary because sometimes you tell them like, oh, it's fine. Just Uber.
Just take an Uber, right?
Yeah. But man.
Yeah, after reading this story, it's like
I'll make sure to pick them up all the
think
time.
twice. I mean, for anybody, you want to make sure that if you hop into an Uber, you want to make sure it's the right car, the right driver. Uber will tell you the driver's name, so you want to ask,
That's right.
what's your name?
That's right. And also make sure that everyone that is close to you, they know that what kind of car you're getting into. They have the license plate on there. They have everything on there. Screenshot that.
Yeah.
Send that to everyone, your family members, before you get into that Uber. Because God knows something like this could happen.
Yeah. You just can't be too careful around, especially strangers. Even if it isn't, supposedly an Uber, even a taxi driver could do you wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Where do you think the mistake was made?
I don't know, because I can't really blame the boyfriend, right, Greg?
Mm-hmm.
Because in Greg's head, man, I really want to blame Greg, dude. Because I mean, okay, look at it this way.
Mm-hmm.
If your girl is going the opposite direction of the supposed place that she was going to, right? Even if it's not to your house, if you see it going away, that raises a red flag there. From there, I would contact her friends right away.
Right.
Whoever she was with that night, I would contact them. Like, hey, listen, on Find My iPhone, she's here.
Right.
Or her phone is here, but is she with you guys? Maybe somebody just took her phone, stole her phone and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be okay with that, right?
Right.
But once the person is missing, the cell phone is missing.
Cell phone's missing.
And you have a live view of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I would definitely maybe have followed like the car or where she was going. Because, I mean, let's say she wasn't getting murdered. Wouldn't you want to know if she was cheating on you? Right?
Like there's that, yeah.
Yeah, there's that.
Would you call the police at that point? Like,
no, that doesn't alarm in my head that I need the police there.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I just need myself to be there for like that confrontation. Let's say whatever she was doing.
Okay, but he was like states away. He couldn't exactly be there.
I see. Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. But even then, like, wouldn't you check for like her friends? Maybe tell her friends to follow her.
I would try to call the nearest person around me. But I mean, you make a great point,
Yeah.
I wouldn't really want to blame Greg as much as he probably blames himself as much as it is.
And I'm sorry about that, Greg. I really am sorry about that. But at the same time, there were some mistakes. There were some mistakes that were done. And
it's not all his fault too.
It's not.
Samantha could have, like we said earlier, she could have asked for the name. She could have been more attentive to her surroundings.
Right. But again, we don't know how drunk she was. Mm-hmm. We don't know what kind of like mental state she was in.
That's true.
At the time. So we can't really blame Samantha on this one. Not fully blame her, I would say. Yeah. Yes, she was a little bit careless. Even if that was me, if I was that careless, I would say I was too drunk to even go home by myself.
Right.
So yeah, that's one of the mistakes that was done. And she was also upset with her friends. I think that added to the whole thing, her being upset.
Yeah, being separated. She was probably separated and drunk, and that's a really bad situation.
That's a bad situation in itself. Yeah.
Oh man,
it's very unfortunate.
Poor Samantha and poor Greg.
Yeah, my condolences really goes out to Samantha's family and also Greg. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, it's awful.
That's got to be tough.
Yeah, for sure. But Samantha's legacy lives on because Samantha's family, they founded the Whatsmyname Foundation, dedicated to educating people around the world on rideshare safety.
Okay.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's what's needed, obviously, from what we hear in the story. And Greg, he also changed his career to criminal prosecution. Now he's a lawyer.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
His life was also forever changed by this incident.
Yeah. That gave me chills, man.
Yeah.
Because that shows you what kind of love he had for his girl.
Yeah.
Wow.
For sure. And also every year a 5K run is held in her memory. So
wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Thanks for watching, guys. This was a tragic case of Samantha Josephson. Our condolences to anybody who knew her personally. She really didn't deserve this. But fortunately, there was justice in this case. Nathaniel Rowland is behind bars.
That's right. And if you guys liked today's episode, make sure to leave a thumbs up, click that subscribe, click that notification bell button so that you know when we're uploading these videos. And with that being said, my name is Jan.
My name is Glenn. Welcome to the Night Parade. Buddy Wood, she decided to call it a night. And she called it why can't I say Uber? Why can't I say Uber?
The turkey hunter.
Yeah, they hunt turkeys, dude.
Nathaniel sold some of those out. What was I gonna say?
I don't know.
So then, Nathaniel. You see, bro? That's great. Right there, he just. And right.